So I went to a fast food restaurant and I picked up $20 worth of hamburgers. Then I went to a grocery store and got $20 worth of vegetables and fruits. You might think that these are comparable, but they're actually not at all.
A while back, I tweeted a pretty straightforward question. What do you think is a more expensive way to live? Eating meat or eating veg? And this makes me so proud because that is what science says too.
So the real question is, why do we think meat is more expensive, and how much more expensive is it really?
Super excited for this new series. Let's kick into it. Welcome to episode 1 of 5 on the real cost of what we eat. I am Trace. Welcome new subscribers. I love you all for joining and thank you. Full disclosure, I eat meat. I eat it not every day, not every meal, but I do eat it. I have been a vegetarian in the past, and it felt great to do that. I ate amazing stuff, and it was really easy to pick menu items because there was maybe 3 of them. So here's what we know. In 2018, the average American ate 220 pounds of meat. That's 880 quarter pounders. The UN recommends a minimum of 7 kilograms per person annually. That's like 15 pounds. That's the minimum, and we didn't triple it. We didn't quadruple it. Nope. We squared it. That is so much meat. And why do we do this? Why do we eat all this meat? Yes, it's delicious. That's not the point. Why did we get here? And there are 3 main reasons: evolution, classism, and economics. Evolution. Our brains are nutrient hungry. Meat is packed with nutrients. It's energy dense. But for every meal, it's actually not great for us. The next reason, classism. Remember Robin Hood stealing from the rich and giving to the poor? That story starts with him killing one of the king's deer because kings and queens, they could eat all the meat they wanted.
So then when the colonizers left Europe, they brought the idea of meat equals class along with them.
When the Irish came to the United States in the 1840s, there are letters in museums saying that I eat meat every day, and replies from Ireland saying, "You must be kidding, can't be true." That is the reality of this meat-eating classist system. There's also economics, and that's where we take the cured meats and the weird parts that the classists let us have, and we started to eat that. And slowly over time, we got access to the more expensive meats. In 18th century America, local butchers wanted you to eat lots of meat. They wanted to sell every single piece of every single animal. Thus, we now eat most of those things. Some of those used to be considered low food, and now it's made in such a way to make it high food, which is actually kind of a ridiculous idea. Quick sidebar, check out Answer in Progress.
Hello, friends.
Melissa and I share this love of cooking shows. They are the best. So we both got this idea in our heads where I'm talking about the economics of food and kind of where we're going with it. But Melissa over on Answer in Progress, she tried to make a fancy meal from regular ingredients. Check out their video after this. Melissa actually did it in her house, and I think it turned out pretty well, but you should check out the video for yourself. So, 18th century, all the different pieces. By the 19th century, that was big business. There were stockyards in places like Cincinnati and Chicago where they mass-produced meat. Further reading for those doing the home game, you can get Upton Sinclair's The Jungle at your library. Whoa, gonna blow your mind. In the 20th century, meat started to change in that we had 250 slaughterhouses in New York, in the Meatpacking district. But now, it's super trendy. There are 0 slaughterhouses. In fact, in all of the 5 boroughs of New York today, there may be 20 or 25 slaughterhouses. The fact that there are that many is pretty surprising, but meat growing moved from nearby to far away. And eating nice meat meant something. You evolved to want it. The evolutionary brain goes, yum. The class brain goes, hey. And the economics brain says, wow, they must have done a really good job. And this cycle starts again. And though we can get this much food for $20, eating meat is actually way more expensive than you think. A 2015 study in the Journal of Hunger and Environmental Nutrition found that vegetarians spend $750 less every year on food than meat eaters. $750 every year. If you ate less meat, you would save money. And a survey done by a website of 1,072 Americans found that the vegetarians were spending $23 a week less, which is almost $1,200 a year. Either way, you will save money by eating vegetarian. Even though it might seem like meat is cheap because we have dollar cheeseburgers, meat is actually far more expensive than you think. And you could probably save even more money eating flash frozen or preserved vegetables rather than fresh produce. More research is needed on that. Economics nationally and globally also make meat less attractive. Meat is unhealthy to consume too often. It's bad for the environment, requires massive amounts of water, land, and crops to feed the animals that we are mass producing. And then of course there is the shipping costs, which equate to high carbon footprints and huge logistical operations to get the meat from one place to another. No matter how you slice it, pun intended, there is no way that you're gonna save money by moving meat around or growing it locally over moving vegetables around or growing them locally. And all of these things contribute to climate change. Red meat, that is all mammal meat, including pork. Pork may be the other white meat on TV, but in real life it's mammal meat and it's red meat. High red meat intake is associated with overall mortality, cancer mortality, cardiovascular disease mortality. It triples chemicals related to heart disease, TMAO chemicals, and we know all this, you've heard it before, I'm not the first person to say it. If we ate meat less, not none, but less, we could save money and we would be healthier. The US, nationally and globally, remember, could save $151 billion in healthcare costs by 2050. All we have to do is eat a little bit less meat. If we all went vegan, which I am not advocating, but if we did, studies show we could save trillions of dollars. Trillions! Even without going vegan, if you assume people don't die of obesity or related comorbidities, there are health savings and economic benefits of switching away from meat, up to $30 trillion globally. 30 trillion is hard to wrap your head around, so let's assume that the globe gets to a population of 10 billion at this time, which is predicted. That's $300 for every person on the planet annually. Did I not mention, by the way, these savings aren't one-offs. They are every year. Annual savings, trillions a year, by just switching away from meat a little bit. It's amazing. The farm lobby, i.e. the giant businesses that came about in the last century that I mentioned, says that this will hurt farmers. But that's not actually true either. Farmers grow what sells. They are businesses. If you want to eat less meat, the farmers will grow fewer cows. And that's fine as long as it doesn't happen overnight. So don't blame farmers. Blame ourselves and our biases. Many omnivores and meat eaters think that meat is cheap. We are trained to think so thanks to fast food, but really that's not true when you take into account everything. A USDA study broke it out very nicely in two different ways. There's calories per dollar, then there's edible weight per dollar. And we've been trained to think of food the first way, calories per dollar. More calories equals more full, more food, more better. And that's not really true, but it is how we've been trained to think. Vegetables, part of our bias against them is that they have low calories for their weight. They, quote, tend to be a relatively expensive way to purchase food energy.
But vegetables have a better edible weight per dollar. There's more of them for every dollar you can spend.
Grains, vegetables, fruit, and dairy foods are less expensive than most protein-based foods.
So if we go back to the groceries versus burgers we had at the beginning, veggies have significantly more volume and mass for $20, although burgers do have fat and sugar. So if you want to be full and healthy and save money, you should eat vegetables.
And that's the important thing to remember. Edible weight per dollar versus calorie per dollar. You don't just want to feel full, you also want to have some calories. And yes, meat is nutrient dense, but vegetables turn out to be cheaper in the long run. Let me put it this way, quote, an average portion of potato chips might be cheaper than the average portion of a baked potato. But if it takes 2 potato chip portions to make a cup equivalent of starchy vegetables, you would have been better off eating the baked potato. Either way, let's say you have 2 bags of potato chips, each with 100 chips in them. The first has 100 Cool Ranch chips, and the second has 99 Cool Ranch chips and 1 ridiculously spicy nacho cheese chip. If you pick a bag at random and then a chip at random, what are the chances you're gonna get the super spicy one? You wanna know the answer? You should go to brilliant.org/trace. Brilliant has curated sequences of problems that help you master all sorts of technical science subjects. This is a question of probability, so you might think, oh, Trace, he just makes science videos. He doesn't have to make math videos. You're wrong. I have calculated the number of bathtubs in the ocean, the speed you might be traveling through the universe right now, and a bunch of other strange stuff for videos over the years, not to mention making budgets for shows and calculating taxes and payroll. Having a basic understanding of math and science in your brain's tool belt is awesome because of all the extra layers of concepts that it opens up for you to explore, and Brilliant is a way that you can get there. They've got statistics, orbital mechanics, genetics and probability. You can even learn about evolution and biology through the lens of math and scientific thinking, all with Brilliant, and you can learn a little bit every day. It's awesome. Satisfy your curiosity, learn new things, get more curiosity. It's a win-win-win. Brilliant.org/trace, sign up for free. The first 200 people that go to that link will get 20% off their annual premium subscription, and it supports the show, so thank you. But what is the probability of climate change and global warming ruining your kids' lives? I would say pretty high. Don't need Brilliant for that. And my point is, if you like meat, I'm not saying give it up, you jerk. I'm not saying that. I'm saying think about food differently. Think about what you're putting in your body and what's actually costing you money. Meat eating is way more expensive than veggie eating, even with uber cheap processed products available on every corner. If you're trying to save money, buy vegetables. Beef consumption peaked in 1976, and it's actually down a third since then, though chicken is way up. Is chicken healthier? It can be, but it still has similar issues. We're mass-producing animals, especially if that chicken is fried or greasy or otherwise fat-saturated, then you end up with the health issues as well as the ethical and moral issues. And we really are starting to think differently about meat, but thinking differently impacts everyone over time. And the economics say that if you think differently about your food, it's gonna be good for you, it's gonna be good for us, it's gonna be good for all of us on this planet. I've been watching through Star Trek, The Next Generation, Picard, Discovery, you know, all those amazing shows. And they talk a lot about food on those shows, and it's usually like fruits and breads, a fish dish. Riker made that egg dish once. Replicated meat is a thing, but generally humans don't seem to eat a lot of meat. What is the food of the future? Will meat still be on the table in 2200, 2300? Come back next time so we can talk more about it. Thanks so much for watching. I am Trace. If you want more of these episodes, you can check them out here. You can also find me over on all of the different social medias or join my Patreon if you want to see more of these videos. I am at my in-laws in New York right now, so sorry that I'm not in my normal studio. I hope that you found it exciting. I had a really good time trying to dress up their living room. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of this video, and I will see you in the future.